Hello and welcome to the Whirly Bloke channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to fit a MicaSense RedEdge-M multispectral camera to an Inspire 1 Pro. Fitting a MicaSense RedEdge-M multispectral camera to an Inspire 1 is actually pretty easy using this integration kit from Xcopters. Let's find out how. The kit is made from some very nicely produced 3D parts. They're mostly pre-assembled and all the mounting hardware, nuts, bolts and washers are fixed in place. That way you can easily see where they're used. When you fit this integration kit, you won't need to make any modifications to the Inspire. This is the antenna mount that fixes to the rear of the Inspire, and this is the antenna mast that is keyed and slots into the top of the mount, so it will always be pointing in the right direction once it's all assembled. This is the antenna plate where the GPS antenna and the downwelling sensors are fixed. There's a couple of nuts and bolts here to screw the DWS on. This is the Inspire fixing plate, which is common to the RedEdge and the Sequoia integration kits and has 4 bolts to hold it in place. This attaches to the camera mounting plate with these silicon damper balls, and the plate has these 4 fixing bolts to attach directly to the RedEdge-M camera and hold it securely in place. Finally, you get some zip ties to hold the wires tidily in place and fix a USB power pack to power the camera. The back of the antenna mount is sculpted to fit something like the Anker 500 power core, and there's a small ledge to stop it falling out. But you can mount any suitable USB supply that fits and clears the props. The kit doesn't include a power pack to keep costs, particularly shipping costs, down, and the chances are you will have something suitable lying around anyway. A 5000 mAh power pack will keep the RedEdge going all day. Later on I'll show you how you can use a 5V BEC to power the camera directly off the Inspire flight battery if your soldering skills are up to it. Fitting is very easy. You need to remove this vanity panel from the rear of the Inspire by undoing 4 bolts. It's only covering up some cabling. Keep these bolts safe somewhere and we'll use these to mount the antenna. The antenna mount fits onto the rear and you can use the original hex bolts to fix it in place. Don't do these up too tight, just nip them up enough to hold the mount secure and use some thread lock if you want to. Now fix the DWS onto the antenna plate with these bolts, making sure the arrow is pointing forward. You can then peel the top off the 3M VHB pad and stick the GPS antenna on, making sure the arrow is pointing in the same direction as the one on the top of the DWS, and make sure it's in parallel with it. These VHB pads are very high bond and they work really well outside and a wide range of temperatures, but you really need to leave them 12 hours before you fly before they fully go off. You can tie the GPS cable with some of the provided zip ties. Now fix the antenna mast to the mount. This sticks on with another VHB pad, but first test fit and make sure the DWS is at the front, the arrows are pointing forward and there's enough clearance to get the battery in and out. When you're happy it's all okay, peel off the top of the VHB pad and stick the antenna plate on. Double check the arrow direction and clearance. If it's a bit off, you will be able to move the plate on the pad before it goes off completely. The next thing is to fix the RedEdge to the camera mounting plate. Just put it on top of the camera and tighten the bolts down. Again, not too tight and just enough to hold it in place. Use some thread lock if you feel you need to. The Inspire fixing plate is held on with 4 bolts. Just undo 2 of the bolts, making sure you don't drop the captive nuts. Bend the top plate up slightly and slide it onto the Inspire. Then put the bolts back in and tighten everything down. The top plate is designed to flex very slightly to hold everything secure. And make sure this is pushed to the back of the Inspire. Don't worry, this plate doesn't affect the battery going all the way in. We just need to attach the camera plate to the Inspire with the damper balls. It's a bit fiddly, so take your time and don't be tempted to use a metal screwdriver to push them through, or you may damage the balls. You just need to coax them through with your fingers. They're tight for a good reason. We don't want them falling out. All that needs doing now is to wire up the camera with the cables supplied with the RedEdge. Check the manual for all the wiring details, and remember to use the ferrite bead on the power cable to filter out any power supply noise. The USB power pack can be fixed using the supplied zip ties, again making sure it's clear of the props. There's plenty of room to tuck the ribbon cable in the back of the antenna mount and keep things tidy. And make sure none of the cables come anywhere near the props in both the landing and the flying position. If you're confident with a soldering iron, it is possible to power the RedEdge from a 5-volt BEC or a battery eliminator circuit. Make sure it can supply up to 2 amps and handles an input voltage of at least 26 volts. Remember, we need to work off a fully charged 6S battery. If you carefully peel back the neoprene pad inside the battery compartment, you'll have access to the solder pads where the battery is directly connected, and you can solder your back input wires there. I chose to put a JST connector on the wires so I can easily remove the back, or just power off the camera separately if I want to. Double check the polarity of these wires before you plug anything in, and check the voltages with a voltmeter to be safe. I'll leave links in the description to all the parts I used. Check the RedEdge-M manual, which has a complete chapter on power supply requirements. If you're going to do this, you're probably breaking your warranty, but my Inspire is way out of warranty, so I'm not concerned. I hope you found that useful. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel down here. It really does help me make better content. I'll see you next time.